Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. To thee, all worship and all praise is well deserved. As we continue our journey on who we are, where we going, how we get in there, we welcome one and all of you again to another Friday evening edition of Who Am I? Who am I? you know. And I am Alpha, Brother Alpha, your moderator for this evening session. And I will just want to, um, I want to take us through a little bit of where this program began and some of our speakers because, I don't say sorry to make the announcement, but this evening will mark our close of our final edition then for this semester. For this edition of Who Am I? And we shall return, inshallah, in the year 2022, inshallah, for the first Friday in the year 2022. Right? So we kind of closing off tonight. And we closing off with a bang, of course. So I will just share my screen and allow to do a quick presentation before I welcome our esteemed guests and our beloved speaker this afternoon, inshallah. All right, so I'll ask you to still keep your attention to my screen, inshallah, if everyone can see it. The team at IFL, at Institute for Life, wanted to start a conversation, or if we start a conversation, I would say continue a conversation because, conversations have been happening, maybe not in this virtual format, since we get into this digitalized stage. Where did we come from? Where are we going next? How do we plan to get there? So we decided to have this conversation every Friday night, to create a space, about Islam and African Muslims living in the Caribbean, exploring our history, our culture, our food, our business, our youth, to establish a cultural framework, moving forward, as African Muslims residing in the Caribbean to put together a documentary compiling of the recordings that we gather from these various sessions, which of course we will share on our YouTube page soon, inshallah. We wanted to we are developing an economic position and framework on doing business, fostering generational wealth and freedom, and culminate the entire series with a larger conference titled, Muslims in Trinidad and Tobago, the first annual summit, right? So where were we? Where are we now? Where are we heading next? How do we get there? So we decided to bring together a couple of speakers to discuss several topics such as history of Islam in the Caribbean, Islam and Africa, heritage of Muslims in Africa, pre-slavery, post-slavery, our food, our purpose, our freedom, economics, organizing our wealth, our nationality as opposed to our ethnicity, culture in Islam, and many other topics, alhamdulillah, we were able to cover. Of course, we started off with some amazing speakers. Every speaker brought some dynamic things to our conversation of who am I. Brother Kwesi Atiba, who resides right here in Trinidad, from the IRS, Islamic Resource Center. Brother Professor Danjuman Bihari, who resides in the UK, but Trinidadian origin. Very great professor, very good conversation we had with him. And of course, I'm encouraging all of you who may not have seen all of this to go on our YouTube page and see each one of these discussions. Take time, and sit down and take it in. Sheikh Abdullah Hakim Quick, our beloved Sheikh who resides in Canada, who does a lot of work on the African history in the Caribbean, especially, Muslims in the region. So it was a very, very, very insightful session with Sheikh Quick as well too. There's some screenshots from our sessions with him. And we had none but our brother Salim Muakal, very, very, very wealth of knowledge and understanding the landscape in Trinidad here. So it was very good to have our brother as well. And of course, we had Dr. David Muhammad, who really brought some insight into the Nation of Islam, how it came about and the purpose and understanding the direction and whatnot. So some good, rich knowledge sharing that happened, And then we had Dr. Bilal Ware. Some of you may or may not know him. If you don't know him, you need to know him. Like Google that name and go on YouTube and look at all his videos. We had him on this platform. And if you didn't get him before, for sure, inshallah, next year, he will return by Allah. Right? And then we have our beloved Imam Sunni Ahmad, who resides right here in Trinidad. Nice masjid in Muruga. If you haven't visited, be sure to visit. Very good discussion as well too. We had a very good conversation with a criminologist, Brother Figaro. It was very, very, very in-depth knowledge on understanding the whole criminology and the role of the black man and the whole system, how it affects, what we do, how we do it, how we could get out of it. Very rich discussion. I'm just giving a quick thing here, but you have to go and listen to it, watch it, to get the full understanding. And we had our very first sister appearing on the platform, none but our beloved sister, Sensi Mava, who is doing great work in the enterprise area and across Trinidad and Tobago. And we always work with her for programs like this and many others, I happen to make an appearance as well, talking about some entrepreneurship things and the work that I do with agriculture, etc., etc. So very, very, very dynamic. And then we started to do a little tour around the Caribbean. We say, well, we can't be talking about, Trinidad alone, like if we just here by ourselves, So our beloved Imam from Haiti, made an appearance and brought some insight that, we have never heard before, and this is the purpose of having such programs as well too. Then we jumped over to St. Lucia, Brother Ubaidullah in St. Lucia, who was the Imam, or probably I think assistant Imam right now, brought some in-depth knowledge as well too, as to who am I. Then we went over to Grenada. We seriously take a little tour around the Caribbean, if all I feel I was kidding, right? Brother Siddiqui Sylvester, we dived into some of the things with the Grenada Revolution and understanding, how Muslims reacted, the roles that Muslims played, etc., etc. Right? Then we went to Barbados, that was very, very recent. We understood a little more about halal tourism, and that is the only word I'm going to say from this presentation. Go and check it out on YouTube. If you was not there to understand what this whole halal tourism project is about, from our brother in Barbados, Sulaiman. I think we dive back to Trinidad after him to our beloved Sheikh Imran Hussein, which was last week, and a very, very, very rich discussion. I mean, dive back to Trinidad, but of course, he's a very global sheikh, very, very global sheikh, And his recording of our session on YouTube, is one that really picked up, and thousands of people, majority of them out of Trinidad, looked at it and commenting, and real engagement online. So may Allah bless him and reward all of our speakers. And alhamdulillah, tonight we are able to have our beloved Maulana Hasan Anyabwile, tuning in from a little bit across the waters. It might be a little late for him, but none other than our beloved Maulana to grace us with his presence tonight to give a nice little summary of, what kind of inculcates, what the who am I, not the series per se, but who are we, and kind of wrap up all tied together, all these speakers been basically saying the same thing in their own different way. So we know that we are on the right track. So we have our beloved Maulana to here with us tonight. So stay tuned for who's next. We continue in 2022, inshallah, on our Who Am I platform, right? So I will just do a brief, many of you, I am sure have been following our beloved Maulana. But I'll give a quick introduction to who he is, and then he will, of course, probably tell us more, and then kind of summarize where we're heading. And I find I'm talking for a little too long, so let me make it quick, and I know all here come to hear me. So he took his Shahada at the age 12. He started at the Jamatul Tabligh institution. Then he went on to the Islamic Party. Then, the Jamaat, he's one of the Jamaat al-Muslimin founding members. He's a former Wazir of Security. He was the assistant imam. He's the Sheikh of the Jamaat. He was the Sheikh of the Jamaat al-Murabatin. Then he migrated to London. Migration happened in 2004. But prior to that, he spent some time in Egypt as well in 2002. He's been continuously privately teaching adults and children, very active in the London Masjid. And he's definitely our Sheikh, our beloved Sheikh at the Institute for Life at IFL. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up, and I will now invite our beloved Maulana to give us a nice 20 minutes. I want to time your time here, because you can have the platform. But a nice little summary of, who am I? So welcome, our beloved Maulana. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So asking you to unmute, and you can take it over, inshallah.
Okay, my brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to everybody in Trinidad and Tobago. Although it is late here, I'm prepared to stay up late, which I normally do sometimes, so it's not a problem. Okay? Now, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Nahmahudu wa nusalli wa nusallim ala rasuluna Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salim tasliman. Assalamu alaikum again to all people, men, women, children who are part of our audience. I've been given a job to bring together all the participants in this program. And he told me 20 minutes. I don't think that could be done in 20 minutes. Plus, seeing that, everybody else had their turn, so I know why you were choking me with this time in 20 minutes. That can't work. But I promise not to go overboard, okay, or to be long-winded. I don't like being long-winded in the first place. Now, we came up with a vexing question. Who am I? And the brothers who I work with at IFL and the brothers who I work with at Jamaat al-Murabatin, we looked at the Islamic landscape in Trinidad and Tobago. And we look at the Islamic landscape of wherever our people are in the Americas and in Europe. And we decided that we need, as a people, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, an Islah, a reformation, a revival, a renaissance, especially among the Muslim African of Trinidad and Tobago. It is our view that as a people, we have lost our way. So we have arrived at a crossroad where we have a problem of irresponsible elders and ill-prepared youths. I think that my generation and the generation before me have dropped the ball. And we have allowed Islam to be developed by ill-prepared youths. We did not take time to mold and take care of these youths. So what has happened is that our youths went into all different directions. Some went into gang war, gang style. Some are party addicts. Some into various ideologies, even Christianity. Some of our people went back to where we came from. And some of our people just went astray. And this goes for the men and the women. We have dropped the ball in maintaining the respect for Muslim women. I can remember a time no one would dare disrespect, touch, or be aggressive against a Muslim woman in any part of Trinidad and Tobago. I can remember a time when domestic violence, ill-treating wives, husbands who don't take care of their wives and their children were brought to the imams and they were disciplined. This is not something that happened 2,000 years ago. This has happened more than 15 or 14 years ago, or 20 years ago. Why have we dropped that ball? So in an effort to revive this community, we embark on this Who Am I series. Now, this question I said is vexing because even in the old pharaonic society, ancient Egypt, Kemet, one of the powerful pharaohs, Seti I, he wrote on his lintel at the entrance of his tomb, "Man, know thyself." This includes women too. Man, know ourselves. Know yourself. So I tied in this conversation, who am I, to us understanding who we are. So we decided to bring various speakers. Some of these speakers we were criticized for. Some of these speakers we were lauded for. So we had different type of responses from the Islamic community in Trinidad and Tobago. Some people even went so far to call us racist. Okay? Because most times when Black people get together to talk about themselves and their problems, they're accused of being racist. This is nothing new in Islam, because the great scholar Suyuti, Imam Suyuti and Sheikh, he wrote an entire booklet on the nobility and the contribution of Blacks in Islam. Why he did that? Because there were negative reports in Islam by that attributed to the Prophet ﷺ that denigrated Black people. There are many reports that threw Black people basically into the dustbin. Even in Maliki Fiqh, there are some reports from North Africa where they said the most undesirable woman to marry is a Black woman because she smells. She's ugly. So we have all of these things in Islam we are battling with. So we are not scared or we are not frightened of being labeled racist. In fact, we are unapologetically African Muslims, Muslim African, whatever way you want to have it. So some of our contributors highlighted our contribution in the Caribbean to Islam, whether it was negative or positive. Some of our contributors highlighted the various routes some of us took, okay, before we arrive at correct Islam. We invited Dr. David Muhammad to speak about the Nation of Islam. You criticized for that. Why are you having this man there? We are not scared of the ideology of the Nation of Islam because I train my brothers. But we want to find out from them what is their trajectory to Islam. Some of us were in the Nation of Islam. Some of us were the Tabligh Jamaat. Some of us were in the Ansarullah movement. Some of us were in the Black Power movement. We come from various routes to drink at the spring of Islam, to quench our thirst. But the problem is, we have dropped the ball. Why should our youths have to make that same trip on the same ship to drink from the fountain that your parents drank from, that your cousin drank from, that the elders in this community drank from? We dropped the ball. As far as they're concerned, there's a state of emergency in the Islamic community, Afro-Islamic community, specifically. We are ill. We are on the operating table. We are the doctors. Where are the doctors? Where are those people who will cure this patient, and by what means? These are the questions we are asking beyond the frivolous, negative comments. They even attack me. But I'm accustomed to that. We are about bringing about an Islamic revival, whether you accept it or not. Our aim is to raise 12,000 Muslims. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that if you have 12,000 people, nobody can defeat you. That is our aim. Our aim is to raise 12,000 Muslims. You can be part of it or not. It's up to you. But we are not going to stop because you have problems. You have problems with culture. You have problems with this one head and this one face and this one height. We are not about that. Some of our contributors reminded us of the relationship between this current Dajjalic system and our enslavement as Black people. Some of our contributors reminded us of the contributions of Muslims in Haiti towards the liberation of Haiti. The part played by Muslims, the leadership of the Muslims in Brazil and all these different places. Then we had a bit of economics, something that we have never been able to conquer as returnees, as new Muslims. We have not been able to to strengthen our economic base, to provide our next generation with transferable wealth. What we have is every generation have to hustle. Economics for us is hustling. We have to go beyond that. We have to go beyond that. We have to go beyond that and provide for our women. A lot of them are single parents. Some of them are widows. And they have to go to these various institutions to ask for zakat. And they are treated as beggars. While that money is their right. They are not begging. It's their right. I have to follow out all these ridiculous papers and questionnaires. It's just totally ridiculous. And nobody says anything. Nobody even care. So our contributors spoke about economics. Our contributors spoke about history. All of these threads we are pulling together to arrive at our station. All of these discussions are necessary, totally necessary. If we are to revive Islam in Trinidad and Tobago, this is my project, this is our project. I've started to work with the brothers in South, because as far as I'm concerned, you all could keep Port of Spain. Once we pass Shogunas, we have to lock that down. And I say this unapologetically. You all keep Tom. We will take Sando. We will take Faisabad. You have no Trinidad. You have no wealth in Trinidad. In terms of land, in terms of resources, in terms of everything. Even in terms of revolutionary people come from the South. So our focus, our hijrah, is towards the South and to build up the southern portion of Trinidad in terms of Islam, because the ground there is still virgin. We have some poisonous elements, but it is not as toxic as Port of Spain, Marima, and all these different places. So as a farmer, we have to be careful where we put our seeds. We have to know what time to plant. We have to look at the weather. We have to look at the wind. We have to look at the sun. And this is the right time for us to revive Islam. And I tell you the truth, this is why we arrive at this particular juncture, okay, in our development. And it reminds me of an ayat in the Quran, because out of all the personalities mentioned in the Quran, we have Musa and Firaun, okay? Then the second mentioned person is Prophet Isa, Jesus alayhi salam. But let's get back to Moses, because we live in a pharaonic society. How do we treat with this society? How do we understand who we are in this society? How do we deal in this society? How do we live under various levels of pharaonic governance? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Fama amana li Musa illa dhurriyatum min qawmihi ala khawfin min fir'auna wa mala'ihim an yaftinihum. And no one believed in Musa, alayhi salam, the Prophet Musa. He came to his people. No one believed in him. He used to stutter. He was once a prince in the pharaonic system. He was a prince among the leadership in the highest echelon of society. And Allah says, but no one believed Musa. They had him under suspicion, except some youths from amongst his people, young people. These are the future of Islam. We have to destroy this negative culture in Islam where we have old men just hanging on to power. What power is there really? Okay? As the Bible says, old men for counsel, young men for war. I'm not just speaking about physical war, but struggle to build, to prepare for the future. This is what the old men should be doing, providing proper leadership, delegating authority. This is the way forward. And Allah says that the youths among Bani Israel responded to Musa alayhi salam. And the majority of his people, they did not support Musa because they feared Pharaoh. Pharaoh was a terrible man. They feared him. And they not only feared him, they feared his chiefs. Okay? His leadership establishment, his leadership machinery. Because one man cannot be a dictator. You cannot blame one man for spoiling an organization or for spoiling a country. There's always a group of men. So even when a dictator dies, he left back his companions who help him in his dictatorship, and they are just like him. So they have to purge themselves. That is why the Russian Revolution was so violent. They had something called the purge. They purge all the old leadership. And these people don't purge like Islam, they kill people. In Islam, we call for a new direction, tawbah, turning back from what you used to do to bring back something better. So they fear the fitna that would come from the authorities. Okay, and this word that وَمَلَائِهِمْ could also mean that the leadership of Bani Israel was also compromised. The leadership of the Muslims in Trinidad and Tobago is also compromised. Okay, they are also compromised in regards to the system because they are afraid to be jailed. They are afraid that people will speak bad about them. They are afraid, they are afraid, they are afraid. They are afraid even of their own shadows. So I ask myself, where are the lions of Islam? Where are the lions of Islam? So I leave that question for you to answer. I don't care if the lion is toothless, but a toothless lion can still provide leadership. A toothless lion can still provide guidance for the young cubs. So I lay that question at your feet. In our attempt to resuscitate Islam in Trinidad and Tobago, where our sisters could walk any part of this country at any time of the night or day without being touched. Where our young men don't have to be worried about getting shot at and killed after praying salat from mosques and from the various prayer the masjids from the various masjids in Port of Spain. Where a gang of Muslims call themselves Muslim City. They have no city. I'm not sure about their Islam. And they don't even own a sidewalk. Where do we go from here? This is a vexing question. Where a young man who is married to a woman could put a gun in her face, where that woman has no way to turn, not even to the police, where the leaders are even afraid to put that man, to admonish that man, where the women go up on Facebook and denigrate Muslim men. This is something that they do daily. They put all of us into one box because they have a rotten husband that they choose. They have a rotten husband that they choose. Where they married people who are in jail. A man in jail is just building fantasies. The real life is when he comes out of jail. If you want to marry a man in jail, sure, but wait till he comes out. Then you know who he is. In jail, it is said, here it is. And they say when you're outside, is where it is. This is the reality of jail. I've had my experience in jail and I can tell you, you build castles out of imagination, figment of imagination. The real test is when you're on the outside. In jail, you're just a baby of the system. They feed you, they put you to bed. If you cry, they give you some licks. You're just a baby. When you learn to walk outside, then you will know. So the whole thing have to change. Where a sister will not choose a brother because he has no bling. But that brother might be a righteous Muslim. They're not interested in him. He's a nerd. They want the gangbangers. And when the gangbangers take them home and bang up their heads, they're bawling out about Islam and Muslim men. Lie down with what you choose or exit. So there's a whole change in values of the men who are just depending on women to work. Now bring them the money. And then want the woman to obey them. Allah says in the Quran that men are the maintainers and protectors of women. And because they are doing that, the women obey. You're not protecting because certain parts of Port of Spain, your wife cannot walk. You're not maintaining. You have no job. You have no prospect of a job other than selling marijuana. And when you get jail, you're crying to mommy to bail you. Okay? These are the kind of men we have. So we are in crisis. And we brought all these different speakers to highlight solutions, a way out. So this has been our program. The last thing I would like to speak on is culture. You know, we have a big argument in Islam, especially among Trinidad, that this IFL and Hasan and these people are just on culture. We're not just on culture. Islam does not stop you from enjoying your culture. There's nothing in the world like Islamic culture. There are Islamic principles applied to culture. Every culture in the world is halal, except if you indulge in things in that culture, which is haram. And we apply principles to our culture. In the same way, there's nothing like Islamic economics. There are Islamic principles and instruments applied to economics. Susu is economics. It's not in the hadith, not in the Quran. So wait, what are you going to say? that is haram because it's susu? No, the Prophet ﷺ met people trading, but he told them, this is wrong, this is wrong. You go ahead and trade. He met people planting date palms. One day he said that, why are you all doing that to the date palms? So when the harvest came in and the harvest was low, he said, what happened? He said, well, you told us not to do that to the what we are doing. You know, I don't know the word for it, but they tend to the palms so that they can grow more, fruits. And they said, well, you told us that we shouldn't be doing that. He said, I'm a prophet. I have nothing to do with your word. I'm not a farmer. And leaders of Islam should know that. Not because a man is an imam, he's the best in the room in finance, best in the room in economics, best in the room in law. No. No. Delegate authority. We have intellect. We have a lot of youths that are capable. Give it to them. Let them do it. This kind of imams that we have cultured in Trinidad and Tobago, where he's everything and nothing at the same time. A leader is supposed to harness the energies of his society, harness the energies of the youths, harness the energy of the women, harness the energy. And this is another thing. This is another thing. We have underusing our women. Every Islamic organization, especially among Black people, should have a woman's arm, a woman's auxiliary. Every political party in this country and in the world, the engine room is run by women. The success of a party is based on the participation of women. Same thing applies for Islam. Our women have been our backbone in slavery. Our women has been our protectors in slavery. They hid us from the masters when we ran away. They lied to the masters. When you couldn't work, our women were out there. So now they are come Muslim. We can't hear them. We can't see them. What nonsense is that? What nonsense is that? You have a big organization, but all the woman could do is make barbecue, make food. But when it comes to the development and the progress of the group, we are not asking anything. So we make her involvement in Islam a big kitchen. When it's Eid, put you in the kitchen. To raise fund, put you in the kitchen. Nothing else. So we have moved the kitchen from the home into our various organizations. All of these things we have to redress as Muslim. You cannot hide half of the Afro-Muslim population. Our women should be the most educated because they are bringing up the children. Every single scholar in Islam, their mothers were Hafiz and they knew Islam. So how can we have a next generation of Muslims taking on the responsibility if the mothers are dummies? If the mother don't know anything about Islam. At one time, brothers were telling their wives, when I was in Jamaat al-Muslimi, not to talk to me, because I will tell them exactly what their rights are in Islam. Some of my good friends tell the wife not to talk to me because I will tell the wife exactly what is her rights. But then learning essential things is your responsibility, not your husband. Learning your rights as a Muslim and being informed about Islam is responsibility, especially on a mother, because they are bringing up the next generation. When the child turns 7, put the child over to the father to teach him to be a man. Our problem in Islam and outside of Islam is our families. Okay? The African community in Trinidad and Tobago, Muslim or not, are always in crisis. Who ain't touching little children, touching little boys? Who are beating up their wives, murdering them, picking up women on the streets and burying them in graves? What is really going on? Some men run away to Syria to fight for Islamic Caliphate, and the wife can't walk on George Street. Nonsense. And when I speak about it, some punk from Rio Claro want to kill me. Because I'm talking against ISIS. Where's ISIS now? Planting bomb in masjids in Afghanistan under a system that Afghan claim they are Muslims, and there's established an Islamic State. So who are you going to support now? The Taliban or the ISIS? This is nonsense. Because our youths don't have a sense of history. They don't have an understanding of world politics. They don't have an understanding of the world they live in. And this is the reason for our program, our humble program. We are struggling to try to train our youths, to get them to understand the world they live in, to understand themselves, to understand the place that Allah's put them in this time, and to culturally, religiously, spiritually relevant to the time that we live in. So I thank you for listening to me. I hope I have not bored you, but I do hope that I've sparked something in your heart, in your conscience. Even if you cuss me, I don't mind. That is a good response. I'm taking that. Because the intent was to shake you up, to show the seriousness of what we're trying to do. We are not strong yet. The brothers in San Fernando are not strong as yet. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to become. We don't have enough resources and whatever. But what we have is a vision. And all of you old Bible men and Bible women, you know that a nation without vision perish. So this is our vision. Who am I? As we cross the matrix of living in Western dominated society, and as we try to realize an Islam in the crucible of the Caribbean Sea. So this is my contribution. Yes, brother.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. I don't know about everybody else, but my poor reason, and we really appreciate the words that you have imparted thus far. A beautiful summary, a beautiful conclusion to end this. Well, I would say the pause this year's edition of our Who Am I series. Alhamdulillah. Our beloved Sheikh, we couldn't have asked for something more beautiful words that from you, and more sincere words as well too. I could feel it. So Alhamdulillah. I want to then open up the floor now to questions or / comments. Of course, I like to say keep it within what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Keep it within what we're talking about. So I see our uncle Khalil Saif. His hand is already raised. So Uncle Saif, please unmute your mic and go ahead, inshallah. Uncle Khalil, you could unmute your mic and go ahead.
Like he didn't hear you.
Uncle Khalil, you could unmute.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was having a little technical difficulties.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Saif.
But Hasan, I just want to make one contribution and then ask
Sure.
one simple question.
Go on.
When you live in a plural society, multi-ethnic, multiracial, multi-religious, you have these type of problem. But there's something that is fundamentally different from racism, that appear to be racism, which is racial pride. And I think that is the problem that the Afro society has in Trinidad. From the time we start to deal with our issue of racial pride, and we start to get together and we start to talk things that we have in common, and we start to organize economics, education, everyone is bold, racism. And we pull back because I don't know what the fear is. Contribution, question now. Contribution and question. I think one of the areas that should be of a lot of concern to all of us as practicing Muslims is the fact, save and far apart from people who do a little sociology and do a social science and do a little comparative religion in school, we have a fundamental problem in Trinidad. And everything that we do as Muslims are judged by Christian standards, because clearly the people do not understand and they are not making any attempt to understand what Muslims stand for. Point in order, eve of Diwali, Dr. Tirawi's wife was on television and she was talking about a barbecue that was organized by a big political organization, and they were selling meat on the day of Diwali. So that too, in its sense, is a major problem for us. And other than the case that was won by Sat Miraj and Inshan Ishmael, in respect to the highest award, which was the Trinity Cross, everything in respect to that continued to exist. So I think part of the fundamental program should be an outreach for the non-Muslims to understand what are the position of Islam. And clearly it is unfair for us to be judged by the Judeo-Christian system. Thanks very much.
Okay. As regard your comment, that is true. But we have to stop worrying what people think about us, because when they critique us about how we behave, how we act, and what we do, most times they are right, you know. Because some of these fellas can't come in my house to ask me to marry my daughter. So just imagine they're going to an Indian man to marry his daughter. So some of these things are true, because we are not pulling ourselves up, you know. So we have to not study what they say, and we have to rescue ourselves, and to arrive at who we are and be proud in a positive way of who we are. Secondly, living in a multiracial, multicultural society, we know this, right? Because Islam has provided a direction. For example, in Spain, Muslims live with Jews and Christians, okay? And it was the best time for those minorities, because in Islam, we allowed minorities to find their own way. But our problem in these societies, they are draconian. Everybody should follow one way or the highway. Okay, so as Muslims, we have to negotiate, you know, our part in these societies. Okay, and you know, there are many examples. For example, in Africa, there was a group of Madinkas called the Joktan. You know, the Imam was Imam Suwairi, and they were responsible for the large scale amount of people accepting Islam in West Africa, because the position they took was to go to the people and talk to them, live amongst them, be part of them, part of their culture, and still remain Muslim. Okay, so we have to learn how to mix without getting mixed up. This is the axiom. We have to learn to mix without getting mixed up. We should respect other people's religious belief. Okay? We should respect other people's ceremonies. We should give that maximum respect and demand that they respect us too. Okay, that's the next thing. People want respect. I was shouting, they want respect, and they don't give respect to no other communities. They don't give. You know, the Syrian community in Trinidad don't give enough respect to anybody else other communities, but they want respect. But as Muslims, even though they have that weakness, we should still respect them. Okay? We should still give them that respect because that is Islam. Okay, so that is my position on that. Anyone else?
Hola, I have
Yeah.
one question
Yeah.
in the chat.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Hamidullah here.
Who?
Hamidullah.
Okay.
Hamidullah Wahid. Assalamu
Yeah.
alaikum to all my brothers. I want to commend you for this beautiful program. But I want to share my little 2 cents, particularly. Well, first of all, let me commend you, Brother Hasan, because seeing you as an invitee that really bring me to the program. Honestly, I've been following for quite a while since you have been done with Jamaat al-Muslimin. I have used to be one of the earlier people with the World Community of Islam, with better like Brother Hasan and Sunni Ahmad. That's just my foundation. However, the question to my mind, when we talk about race, that disturb me all the time, is that African people does not seem to understand race at all. Our leaders, to me, fail to take us along that path, to make us understand that there's nothing wrong with being racial. From my limited understanding, to be racial is divine. Birds of a feather flock together. When you become a racist, that is where it's been sinister. And I find it appalling that our leaders cannot discern that information. So we are the people for we to understand and appreciate race consciousness. So hence the reason why you'll find from the time we get into the question of race pride and being proud of ourselves, a lot of leaders back because the connotation of that to the wider community is that we are being racist. Am I clear, my brother? Am I clear?
Yeah, I understand your comment. Are you Hamidullah who used to do the poetry?
I'm Hamidullah Calypsonian.
Yeah, and did you ever used to do poetry?
No, not really. I
remember I know one Hamidullah was a poet and one who did so you are the Calypsonian.
I'm the Calypsonian. Hamidullah Calypsonian.
All right, good. Yeah. Okay, yeah. You know, that's a point. But you see, you have to be very careful how you explain things to people, right? Right. Now, in Islam, you're allowed to be who you are because Allah created you who you are. And Allah permit us to marry from those among us. Allah permit us to have tribes and families and nations. Okay, but at the end of the day, we know that the best of us is who have taqwa to Allah. Okay? The best of us.
That's right.
Because some people who look like us are responsible for us being here in this part of the world. People who look like
That's
us.
Right.
So sold us into slavery.
Yeah.
So we have to be alive to the situation. You know, we have to be alive to the situation. So, but we reach a point and time, as you said, we lost ourselves. Okay, we lost. That is why when my girl children were growing up, I have never given them a white dolly. Okay, and that is something I forgot to mention. You know, there was a time we adopted Muslim names and African names. And me personally, I chose Anyabwile as my family name. Okay, now my daughter married a man now, and he have some other name from some slave master. So I spend all my money, all my energy, all my training to bring you out of that and some other man maintaining this name, and she had to take that name. And there's the next thing. A woman don't have to take a husband name in Islam. A woman don't have to take your husband name. Your name is your name. Okay? Your name is your name. But you know, these women love, lovey-dovey, they forget everything. And next thing you know, you give your daughter a good African last name. And next thing you know, she's Crawford. You know? And she, you know, like Rashida Crawford, you know, Rashida Marshall, or some kind of thing like that. You know, so, you know, it's a kind of losing battle in a kind of way, you know, and your grandchildren, you know, they have no semblance of the family name you choose. So we are faced a lot of it.
Hasan, I mean to interrupt you, but why I'm saying clearly that our leaders should by now take the bull by the horn and tell us there's nothing wrong with being racial. That's my point.
Yeah, but
why it is that whenever
but brother,
being racial is come across as being sinister.
Don't put what I'm saying. Don't put everything on the leaders. We personally take personal responsibility too. Okay, adopt it. Encourage other people to adopt it. Encourage the leader to adopt it. Okay, because sometimes we have lazy leaders. Okay, intellectually lazy, culturally lazy, you know, religiously lazy, spiritually lazy. So you have some of those kind of leaders. So sometimes you just have to influence your circle. Okay?
I will try my best. No, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. Thanks again.
Brother, I appreciate your comments. Yeah.
All right, Marshall, we have a question in the chat box, so I'll read it out here. Maybe if anybody have more information on it or any information, we could feel free to share. Is there a group where sisters standing up for sisters, especially in helping them? Does such group exist? If there's any group that you know of where sisters are standing up for sisters?
No. The only group I know is the section on Facebook who are not balanced and they just cuss men. Especially black men. I've never seen an Indian Muslim woman go on Facebook and cuss all the Indian men. But our sisters go up there regularly. And if you check it, it's because of their choices. Because if you bring a nerdy Muslim to them, who practicing the deen, a nice brother working hard, yeah, well, he ain't blinging enough. Look at the shoes you wearing, you become that slippers. Right? And I'm not willing to say, okay, you see this man? He's a good man. Let me work with this man and build him up. But there's nothing like that. What you spoke of, and I think it's time that we have it. You know, I know a sister who have some energies in trying to build a refuge for women, and she has approached a new financial institution in trying to sponsor that. So the idea is there, and it may soon be realized. But generally, I don't know anything of that type of thing. I know sisters like Sister Ria, she's very combative. She tried to help sisters. She tried to talk to sisters. I know a couple of sisters who individually do this. But collectively, as an organization, no.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions? Raise your hand and I'll choose any other questions from anyone else. I see
I thought I provoked enough. I thought I provoked enough questions where like people, like they get knocked out or something. I don't know.
I see a hand raising. Folks, I happen to see your hand raising, sister. So you could go ahead, but there's a button that you could press. Well, I wouldn't see everyone. There's a button that you could click to raise your hand by the reactions. But alhamdulillah, sister. Well, I see your name as Hala. You could go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I've been
Hey,
trying
my sister,
to
what's
press
good?
that. I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Nice to see you. I've been trying to press that button since the first speaker was speaking. I don't know what's happening on my end.
Okay.
Just something a little brief, and it has been of a concern to me and a couple of sisters, and we were discussing it recently. When I accepted Islam and I took my Shahada in 1981, I was just 14 years old. Back then I defied my family, and I'm originally from the South. And back then there was not a place for us Africans who accepted Islam, because when we go to the masjids there, we somehow felt unwelcomed, you know, and most of us migrated to the west and the north and the east, and so I'm back in South this year, and I'm still getting that feeling, that sentiment when I go to the masjids around. Back then, a sister, as Brother Hasan said, felt comfortable among, you know, the brothers and sisters, more so the brothers. They offered that sort of protection, especially for a sister who was single or so. And somehow over the years that has been lost, where sometimes people just don't care, and even a lot of times sisters are pleading for help, pleading for assistance, whether it's in a domestic situation, whether it's a financial situation or so. And members of the community just turn a blind eye. And I'm not just speaking about the fact where sisters might have made bad choices. Most of us made bad choices in our lives. However, sometimes people just, it's a lot of it right now is just for self. So where's a person to turn? Where's a sister to turn? You know,
there's a big
something
problem.
has been lost.
Yeah, there's a big
How
problem.
do we get it back?
There's a big problem because a lot of sisters talk to me about that also. They go to imams, I won't call any names. And all they're telling sisters is have patience. Don't talk about your husband problem. You know, come on. Right? The woman used to complain to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, okay, about personal matters. Because is there for. The imam is there for that, to provide guidance. And as I said, they dropped the ball, sister. Okay, they have dropped the ball because the women now basically they start to fend for themselves. Because and two, it's from both ends, eh? The women how they carry themselves, the men how they carry, lack of family. Or now, right? So, and then on top of that, now they wanted to give orders that put on this, put on that. Okay, so they want all the rights to a husband except maintenance and protection. Okay, so what I think women should do personally is to organize among yourselves, form a women organization, and look for brothers who are supportive of you and work from there. Just forget everybody else. Because if nobody wanted to really come to your rescue, and all they could tell you is has sabr and has sabr and has sabr. You understand? So what you need to do is to form an organization among all yourselves, form it have enough consciousness that I know who could do things and who have the right understanding. Come together and form an organization. Let them call you feminists, it's okay, right? Form an organization among all yourself, get a space, regularly meet, have seminars on marriage, on what, and train the sisters, and get like-minded men because they are brothers who will support you. All are we bastards. So start from there. That's the only solution I see. Don't wait on the fellas. Don't wait on these men. They will catch up, inshallah. So that's my best suggestion to you. So think about it and get some sisters together, and deal with the situation, because the men are dealing with it, obviously. Yes, there will not be a hue and a cry from sisters. Desperation. Okay? So to me, that is the solution right now. And yes, I also migrated from South because of that situation with, with Muslims, East Indian Muslims, and I went to Tong. Okay, same thing, and they are still like that because my son is complaining, who's in South, is complaining of the same thing, and he wants to go Juma in Tong, as you see, so not much have changed. Okay, So as far as I'm concerned, we just have to forget them. And that's why we in South, we forget them and trying to do our own thing. We stop bemoaning them Indian Muslim. Go on, let me do our own thing, build our own institutions, build our own schools, do our own thing, do for self. That's the best thing Elijah Muhammad has ever said. Do for self. And we have to take that attitude. Don't wait on nobody else. Do it. Okay?
I will encourage Sister Hiba Muhammad to unmute and ask your question, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Very, very informative lecture. And as we on, the focus being women, first begin, I'd like to commend you for speaking the truth, because clearly you have realized the pattern that I have seen probably over the last couple of years or so with regards to, Muslim women, I don't want to say downgrading, but it is downgraded and disrespecting Muslim men all over social media platforms, and the fact that it is, more or less the African women who do so. But I'd also like to state, and you kind of answered the question when you said, now the reality is a lot of this is because of the choices that they have made, yes, and also the fact that there were leaders in place who, when issues came to them, did nothing. And I'm not going to blame a leader for somebody deciding to take up the hijab or have nothing to do with Islam anymore, but I have seen Muslim women literally been so tested, and they have tried the whole sabr thing, they take it to leaders and nothing happened. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing to the extent where it's like, sister, stop complaining, you just take it to your Lord, and that was not enough. It should have been dealt with properly, right? Also with regards to forming a Muslim group as women, I think that before it is done, I think that we have to have a different mindset than the women that we had prior, or some of the women that we still have today. The issue being a lot of Muslim women have issues with Muslim women that they have to try to solve. The reality is none of us are perfect, none of us will ever be perfect. We all come from different backgrounds, different personalities, and we have to learn to deal with that. One thing that Muslim women do a lot is judge other Muslim women. A sister don't have to have a hijab on her head to come and make a good contribution to Islamic society. She does not have to be the best clothed person to come and assist. And that is what we have to share away from. The small talk and the old talk and look what she wearing, look what she doing. Everyone, nobody is free of sin. That's the reality of it. But Muslim women have to put aside certain things and think about the greater good. And I think that is one of our greatest downfall as Muslim women, just contradicting other Muslim women. So that is my contribution.
Okay,
Yes,
sister, I agree with you, because listen, when you come together, okay, you'll sort out those differences between yourselves. But this thing about and they should be open to accept any type of woman, whether she have on a hijab, whether she have on tight pants. To me, it doesn't matter. Right now, it's an emergency situation. You're trying to solve particular problems. You cannot solve all the problems at the time. You don't know why she's dressed like that. Okay? It could be a matter of economics, because they're bringing in dresses. One dress is $3,000. Okay, one dress is $2,000, and they're buying it cheap in Egypt. Right? So we have that situation. So it's a situation of economics. You could get a tight pants cheap, and you could get a tight jersey cheap, and a piece of cloth and put on your head. You understand what I'm saying? So we have the economic factor. Okay, so the group now will help women to empower themselves. Right? So when they own money, they could be able to dress properly. They have no excuse. Okay, and it should be come as you are. It should be come as you are, and from there we will deal, because plenty men does be Muslims, and I know that they have problem with marijuana, they have problem with sex, they have problem with partying, but we deal with them and we try to bring them along, because people don't change just so. You live 18, 20 years, a particular lifestyle. In 3 years, you cannot just change that. It takes time, right? And especially we don't live in a society that encourages us to be Muslim. Okay, the easiest thing to be in the society is a non-Muslim. Okay, because that is the tempo of the society. Okay, so we should accept women as they are. You know, the sister who fling off the hijab and go in the party, deal with them still. Plenty men, they see plenty brothers in the party too, who know Quran and Sunnah. See them in the party too. Right? So don't just bring it down on them, but let everybody come as they are and you all work from there. You know, you must have a starting point. In the end, once you have the proper intention and you do the proper programs, inshallah, you'll have a good result. Inshallah, you know, so be positive, you know, and even if you have to argue your differences indoor, do it. But take care of the needs of the sisters until these men wake up, these half-drunk men, until they wake up. So that is my advice to you.
All right, mashallah, excellent contribution, sister, and excellent response, Maulana. So I see the hands now start to raise. Maulana, I know we tried to ask that so we will not stay very, very long tonight. But I want to
I try to make my contribution short, you know, but so I hope I didn't go over the time. But,
no, you was perfect. You was beautiful, you know, exact. I mean, so I want to ask your permission to continue taking questions because I know your time.
No, it's up to you. It's up to you because I hear.
Yeah, okay, well, good. Well, I'm glad I have your permission. So I want to invite, I see our brother from St. Lucia, Ubaidullah. So I want to invite you to unmute and go ahead, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
How are you doing? How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. I'm good. It's just that, alhamdulillah, you have...
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, bro. I wish I was in close proximity to you. I could give you a nice hug.
MashaAllah.
I'm an easy person to believers. You spoke with regards to the 12,000 of us that is needed. As the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned that if we have that number, and the words of the Rasul is always true, no man can say anything else but Allah. The truthful one has spoken the truth. So I hope you're not only looking for them 12,000 brothers from Trinidad, yes?
No. You see, I have a bigger, just continue for a little while. I have a bigger vision, right? My thing is to have a confederation, because I had called it Emirate.
Right.
But with the Taliban now, I changed it to confederation because I don't want people to get the wrong idea, right? But I wanted to have a confederation of Muslims on the island, all the islands, and we meet, all the leaders meet and have conferences, not just Trinidad, but I have to start somewhere. And I have to start in my backyard first, So if you get the message, you start in your backyard. If the brother in Haiti get the message, start in his backyard. Then we will come together, inshallah, But I'm not just thinking Trinidad. Not so,
right.
not so. We want to lock down the Caribbean. We want to lock down the Caribbean.
Yeah, we have to, because
we have to lock it down. Right? So you know what I mean? Yeah. So we have to learn Spanish, we have to learn French, because there's Spanish Caribbean and there's French Caribbean. Okay?
Yes, it is.
Not just English. Right? Yeah. So that was saying is a big task. Right?
Yeah, it's a task, man. And
that
it's
number,
nice to know that we
that
had to be
number,
grabbing the bull by the horns.
Yeah, and that number don't necessarily have to come from Trinidad. Okay, that number could be the whole Caribbean basin, and we could do it.
So what I'm saying, that is there a situation where you have brothers getting registered, saying, "Hey, Sheikh, I have accepted Islam, and the way forward is accepting you as the Imam, as our Amir, and my name is Ubaidullah Muhammad. I am on
we haven't
board."
gotten, there are other organizations in Trinidad who people come to them and they took buyer to the leaders, and they develop, that's their program, and they have, they have their own organization, right? I don't require that of anybody right now, other than my people who I work with. But the sense is, is to get everybody involved, right? Because I'm not asking.
I don't want to cut you short, Sheikh. I don't want to cut you off because of the fact that we need to get prepared for Al-Mahdi, because when he comes, people will not accept his leadership.
Yeah, well,
If
listen.
we could say in the Caribbean, we could say, hey,
All right.
there's a leader here, we accept him. I know you say you don't want to do it now.
No, let me tell you something, right? There's an important statement from the Prophet Islam that if you are planting a tree and the day of judgment comes, keep planting it.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'm saying is this: whether the Mahdi comes in my time or the Mahdi do comes in my time, we should resemble the Mahdi in our actions, in bringing Muslims together, in giving victory for Islam. Right? So if he comes,
we're ready.
Yeah, people, they will death him. If he ain't come, we resemble him and we get our reward. Right? So I don't concentrate on whether to activate because Mahdi coming or not. We have to plant this tree.
Regardless.
Even if the day of judgment come, we have to keep planting it. So that means we don't have an apocalyptic outlook, right? We working. I mightn't see it, you mightn't see it, but we have to prepare our children to see it. And we have to prepare our children to deal with the world to come. As we fail. You understand what I'm saying? So if we don't see it, our children might see it. And if our children don't see it, the children might. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. Okay, but we have seen a lot of the signs of the hour, and we have seen other signs that from the Prophet Islam, no doubt, is there. Okay, but these are minor signs, right? So when the major sign comes, they say it will fall like one after the other as a bead, as a chain that is broken. So in the time that we have now, when the chain hasn't been broken, let's work. You know, that's what I'm calling to. So you do your thing in there, and you do your thing there, you do your thing there, and then once the leaders have the same head, we come together. Okay, we come together, and we form a shura. Okay, and we have a rotating leadership. 1 year is Trinidad, 1 year is St. Vincent, 1 year is Haiti. I involve everybody, right? But we have to wake up the Caribbean first by waking up ourselves, waking up our surroundings, waking up our Jamaat. So who don't want to be part of that? I have no problem. Who want to be part of it? Let us go. That's all I'm saying. You know.
I came on board late because I did Isha. We do Isha real early, as the earliest hours. And I don't know if you all spoke with regards to doing trade amongst us.
Yes, we spoke about economics. That is something we have. That is something. Remember, me and you spoke about that some time ago. You know, and that is something that we have. The African Muslim returning new Muslim to Islam have failed. The only successful people I know is Elijah Muhammad and them, Nation of Islam. We can take example from them and implement it. But we need, okay, the CARICOM idea is a very good idea. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Okay, the CARICOM idea is a very good idea, and we could use it. Have our own Islamic CARICOM where we trade each other. Brothers married women from Haiti, Haiti married one brothers from Trinidad. Brother, and we first, your marriage. So we hook up in family and we hook up with money. And that is it. You know, so but we have to do it. But first, people have to get the idea. People have to see the vision. If they don't see the vision, you see, you know, I'm about a vision, okay? And my vision goes beyond, right, the Caribbean for now. We will leave Americas for now. We will leave the Americas for now, right? But let's our backyard. Let's control our backyard. You know, control our islands. You know, and trade with each other. You know. And exchange money, exchange wives, exchange family. And that's the way to go, brother. It have no other way. I don't see no other way to do it. And we have to do it. Okay? And that is why Islam allow, polygamy. So a man could have a wife in Haiti, he could have a wife in Trinidad, he could have a wife in St. Vincent. You understand what I mean? we could build an Islamic University in St. Vincent in Haiti, and all the children go there. There's so much things we can do.
Yeah, man. It is really easy for us to do it too. It's very easy.
Yeah, we can do it, right? So this is my call. Okay?
Goodbye. Yeah,
Inshallah.
brother.
Yeah. So you start your work there. Start your work there. Some of the ideas me and you exchanged in the past. Start your work. You know, the first thing is the idea.
Yeah.
Then it will materialize. Okay?
Definitely.
Inshallah. Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah.
All right, so I just kind of winding down to the last two questions or last two persons to come on and ask them. I see Brother Paul hand was raised for a while. So I'm inshallah on mute and come on inshallah, Brother Paul.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Brother Hasan, a long time we didn't speak. Abdul Karim, I think we used to meet in Darulum. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember your voice.
Man.
Yeah.
Nice. I think I did call in England too. I just didn't get a chance to
Yes. I remember you.
Right. We have an issue here for a long while. I mean, every time we start doing something, whether it be central or east-west corridor, it is always had the gang element now.
Yeah.
That has come and cause a lot of problems. How we getting a solution to this? Because like it's only our community is African. We never had any of the Asja mosques or the other mosques and them independent mosques and them having this issue. It just keeps affecting our community. What is some of the solutions that we could apply for this issue?
Okay, the gangs, right? The gangs is just a manifestation of the need for a Jamaat. A gang is a Jamaat. Look at it that way, right? But it's just a Jamaat based on wrong principles. Okay, the youths of them have enough wisdom that to survive in this existence, they must come together, right? And the gangs have a culture. Okay, Hennessy, party, partying women, big goal, they have a culture that people access. Okay, so what we have to do is to build an alternative, right? And not just build an alternative, but be able to defend the alternative. Okay, so that is where it have to start, because a lot of these people who went to gangs were brothers who were functioning in other Jamaats. They were functioning Muslims, and where they live, they have to band together because somebody might be aggressing them here or aggressing them there. Okay, so I won't totally condemn them. Okay, what I condemn is their actions. Because if they get together to make the people unsafe, if they get together to oppress men and women in the community, if they get together for these wrong reasons, it's wrong, right? But then to oppose them, you have to have the strength and the ability to do it. I'm not saying nobody on no suicide mission. Okay, so we have to create first an alternative. And when that alternative is strong enough, okay, then the alternative, could deal with that situation. Okay, so the first approach is to dawah, is to call back the young members. Okay, and a lot of them left because they were disaffected, because sometimes the leaders using them, okay, for money, using them for whatever, and then condemning them after. They condemn their lifestyle, but then they're taking their money. So these guys are stupid. They're men on the streets. Okay, so they get disaffected from the type of hypocrisy they found among many leaders. Okay, so if you establish the alternative, the young member know the difference between a practicing Muslim and a non-practicing Muslim. They know, because they were practicing at one time. They know what Islam is. Basically, they might know everything, but they know basically what a Muslim should do and what a Muslim should not do. Okay, so we have to put that clean glass next to the dirty glass, and we have to invite them back. Okay, but we can only invite them back to something that is functioning properly and not a hypocritical organization. So that is my suggestion.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Inshallah.
Yeah, all right. And then finally, Brother Muhammad Akbar, you can go ahead, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, beloved Sheikh.
Wa alaikum
My,
salam, sir.
my leader, my teacher, and my guide for the past 25 years.
Mashallah, mashallah.
As we're doing this building and this work, what is your advice? We'll be dealing with a lot of brothers in the jail who calling for phone card, who calling for this, brothers doing barbecue. What is the proper way to engage and to rehabilitate, or is it too much of a mama task to engage your brothers in who is incarcerated?
Okay. As brothers incarcerated, you can help them as best you can. Okay, initially, because we don't even have proper resources to function properly. So wherever small resources we have, we can help them, we can reach out, we can do whatever. We can, some of them want just one card, phone card, so they can have phone sex, so we don't know what the card for, right? And we should be able to help them, nothing wrong the Islamic concept is to free a slave. Okay, because the prison system, the penal system is re-enslavement. Okay, because the model of the penal system came from the West. Okay, and they said that is the only form of slavery that is acceptable in the modern world. Go and read the American Constitution about the penal system, right? You are a slave. Basically, you are a slave. You are a slave to the system. Okay, over here, they say you are the
Word of the state.
The daughter of the states, or you are the pleasure of the queen, right? So she free if she want, or just so you're a slave, basically. So to free them is a meritorious action, and it is encouraged in Islam that you free the slave. Okay, so that is the program, but the problem with us is that we don't have enough resources. And sometimes that is the problem. You want to help somebody, but you don't have the enough resources.
So I'm saying it should. I'm saying I was more looking at it from a organization standpoint. Like say like how the nation had a whole prison reform program. Should IFL pursue a prison reform program, or should it or just do it on individual basis?
Well, you have a
jail program.
You have a difficulty in getting in now because they already appointed imams from Ashja. They control that sector. Okay, and if you try to get in, it's very difficult. Okay, you can try if you want. But what I'm saying on the other personal level of duty to another Muslim, right, is that you do the best you can for now. Okay, and that is a position, and that is a program, right? If we could get in, right, then you raise the level of the program. Okay, but we should always have a concern, okay, for the brothers and sisters who are not only brothers, but brothers and sisters who are in prison. Okay, so whether or not we can't have a proper program, right? The community should always be conscious of assisting these brothers with books, even sometimes just to send books. You go there, you send some books, or for Eid, you go there and you drop food stuff, or for Ramadan, you go there and you drop things for them to break the fast, or every month you feed them. So that simple programs that can be done other than just going in there and talk, right? Simple program, the committee could once a month, you could have a prison fund that people put money into and you help somebody, so this is what I'm saying, we because officially that lockdown right now, but it don't mean we can't do something from where we are.
Mashallah.
Okay, any more questions?
All right. At this time, I wanna kind of come to a closure. We'll end the question and answer segment. Right?
Anybody have important, anybody have a real important other question? I mean, all the question important, but that might be important for them.
I don't see any other hand raised. I see a comment
All
in the
right.
chat though. I'll share
Let's
it.
let me share it here.
A suggestion. Can some consideration be given to forming a Baitul Mal as a means to help establish some sort of financial independence?
Yes, sir. But a Baitul Mal must be under Amir and a Jamaat. Okay? It's not something, it come like a cut off your hand and trying to drink tea with the cup, right? Okay, it must be under an Amir and a functioning Jamaat. Then you have a Baitul Mal. Okay, because the what goes into the Baitul Mal is from the charity and it's from the taxes that the Amir collects and that to be distributed to the poor. Okay, so we need that, but it must, unfortunately, we can't put the cart before the horse. You must have Amirate, you must have Jamaat. When I mean Amirate, for those who don't know the meaning, Amir is a leader. Okay, I choose the word Amirate over the word Imam because Imam could just be for a masjid, Imam ul Masjid. Okay, then we have Imam of Hadith, Imam of Quran, Imam of Tajweed, you know, and then we have Imam of Jamaat too. But the Amir is also the Imam of the Jamaat. Okay, so just to make things clear, the better political definition is an Amir. Okay, so it must be under an Amir and a functioning Jamaat. So I hope I have contributed, you know, to the best of my ability and take what makes sense. What don't make sense, throw it away.
I mean, all right.
Inshallah.
At this point, I want to invite our beloved brother Maulana Zaid. I'm not sure if you have a question or a comment, but I wanted to invite you to make a closing dua to bring our evening proceeding. But Jazakallah Khair, Sheikh, for really taking the time, staying with us. You know, you're there, and you know it's as though you're in daylight, and I know it's late hours for you. But
No, it's okay. It's necessary.
we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve you to
Ameen.
continue sharing, continue doing the good work, and to continue, you know, although you a little far from us, but you know, alhamdulillah, you feel close still, nevertheless, with your knowledge and with your experience. I see Maulana Zaid hand up. I see our brother Ismail hand up. So Ismail, you want to go first? I don't know if it's something burning you have just to say to the Sheikh.
Yes, Sheikh. Thank you, Alhamdulillah. My question is,
yes, sir.
Is the Baitul Mal is under functioning Jamaat? Just please clarify the definition of a functioning Jamaat, please.
Definition of functioning Jamaat, a Jamaat that has an Amir, that has a Shura with people with given various responsibilities, and under the Wazirate of the Baitul Mal will fall under a Wazirate to be taken care of. Okay, it can't exist by itself. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that is a functioning Jamaat. Okay, Amirate, Shura, okay, and a governing body to see about the affairs of the community. Okay, and this is what we're trying to reach to. As I told you, we haven't reached all the things that we want to do as yet, but we are trying to get there, inshallah.
MashaAllah. All right,
Inshallah.
so brother Maulana Zaid, you can go ahead, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah.
Just one short comment. Suggest the last answer that you gave there is we're constantly making fikr for the brothers who are incarcerated. One of the things that we should have a greater worry and concern for as well is the relatives, the children, the wives of these incarcerated brothers who are outside here.
Thank you very much. Because the Ikramul Muslim, you see, I learned a lot of things from the Tabligh Jamaat. People like to condemn the Tabligh Jamaat, but a lot of formative things I've learned in the Tabligh Jamaat that I've never forgotten. And one of those things is Ikram Muslim. And thank you for reminding me that the parents, the daughters, the children, the grandmothers of these people, thank you, especially the wives. Yes. Thank you for that, inshallah.
Inshallah, we
make it dua. Okay, inshallah.
Allahumma ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم اغفر لأمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم انصرنا. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين. اللهم اهدنا. اللهم انصرنا. اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان خصوصا في فلسطين والأفغان. اللهم اغفر لنا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
آمين آمين ثم آمين آمين ثم آمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم يا حي يا قيوم.
آمين. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.